Just a handful of examples here of images that have been composited together um, using this soft brush masking technique, where you're taking a brush and you're adjusting the opacity and flow and softness of the brush edge to create a mask that's not fully black and fully white, but that has gray pixels that then create transparency in the masking. So firstly, this image that I showed in a previous video, taking this one, so here this is without the mask. I'm disabling the mask by pressing shift and clicking on the mask. Started like this. I'll move this out of the way for a second too. I'll just actually turn the contextual taskbar off because it's often in the way. We're just looking at these right now. So started like this with this photo the colors have been enhanced in some way. And then the idea is that I want to kind of blend it with the underlying photo. So if we look just at the mask here, you can see this was very loosely, quickly done, but just using brush tool with some opacity and flow adjustments, building up a little density of paint there in my mask, then is going to, it's going to hide part of that image. And then when I put another one underneath it, you're going to see those pixels that are in the image that is in the layer underneath. And they start to combine together. And, this is a very basic example, but this idea of a blend between two images, that's how that's achieved. So another example, here we have a city, like, I don't know, a neighborhood, kind of looks rainy, gloomy, and disabling this mask. Here's a photo of just some smoke, and so putting a mask on it that looks like this, just kind of hiding part of the interior of that fog so that then in that area we can see through it to that underlying city, and it kind of transforms the atmosphere and makes it a completely sort of different vibe, right? And I could go further by changing the color of the underlying photo and doing more manipulations. But at a basic level, all I'm doing here is just stacking two photos on top of each other and creating a mask that has some transparency to it to create a window that's soft to look through. And then finally, another example of just this sort of abstract, shapy looking photograph of a landscape, and then on top of that we have just a photo, vintage photo of this woman. Now the mask on this one looks like this, so just building up the density of the paint pretty thickly on the outer edges and then sort of softly transitioning to the window. And there's a little bit of masking everywhere, but it gets close to pure white, so you're seeing through that window pretty clearly in the center. So sort of a frame, right, that reveals itself more toward the middle than the edges. And so with that mask on, you can see, and I'll turn the underlying layer off, here's the mask, here's no mask, here's the mask on, and then stacking that with the underlying photo, you get this kind of double exposure effect, which can be used as a very creative device to come up with collage, composite, and really interesting looking imagery. And then all I did here was just add some shapes on top, rectangular marquee tool, select it, paint it black, right on a layer, and that sort of creates this widescreen look essentially. So yeah, these tools and techniques will give you everything you need to know to create any type of image that looks like a handmade collage, or any type of imagery that is more composited, more transparent, more double exposure sort of in its look and feel.